I will talk about some risk assessment tools that Transparency International Hungary developed during the recent years. Transparency International Hungary is an NGO, and these tools focus mainly on public procurement risks, which is mostly important, and I will talk you a bit about the context in Hungary. As in Hungary, the democratic system of checks and balances was dismantled by the middle of the last decade, and that situation led to a form of so-called state capture, which means that a selected group of politicians, oligarchs, and businessmen have control over most of the public institutions. And these systemic irregularities were also highlighted by the European bodies, also in the rule of law reports and the very recent conditionality regimes, where more than 20 billion euros of EU funds were blocked, including the Next Generation funds. And you might be also familiar with the results of the Corruption Perception Index, which is an important indicator released by Transparency International Secretariat each year on the corruption level in different countries around the world. And according to this index, Hungary had the worst performance among EU member states in 2023. Our country only reached, sadly, 42 point score, and this is how it only reached the 27th place in the European Union. And the major questions of these systematic irregularities usually focuses on the risks in public procurement. This is why it is a very important topic for our organization as well. They usually highlight the lack of competition in public procurement, which is mainly influenced by a strong concentration, which means that there is a strong preference for the choice of certain companies as bidders. And there is also a high proportion of single bid tenders, mainly in tenders financed from national resources, as well as serious shortcomings in conflict of interest situations. So this is the main context, and now let's see our tools. Our old tool, which was developed to assess risks in public procurement, was called red flags, and it was created together with another Hungarian anti-corruption NGO, which is called K-Monitor. This tool was created more than 10 years ago, and the goal was to create a risk assessment methodology which allows the creation of an interactive live and online monitoring tool in public procurement. And this tool had a lot of indicators. Most of the indicators were used related to the contract notices, so at the very beginning of the public procurement process, and only 9 indicators referred to the contract award notices where the contracting authorities communicate the winners of the tenders. So this is why we started to think about changing this toolkit. The website of Red Flags is still reachable on the URL that you can see on the slide, www.redflags.eu. However, it was not updated since last November, as we started to use a new tool, which I will show you on the following slides. So our new tool is called Tender Champions. It was created during the so-called Integrity Watch project of the Transparency International movement. More than 16 different chapters in 16 EU member states participated in this project, and each chapter developed one or more tools to monitor risks on interactive platform on different topics based on the issue which was relevant on the respective country. In some countries, not public procurement, but for example, political finances or lobby activities were monitored. But for the Hungarian case, we chose public procurement as it was, as I already told, in the center of the conversation, and it was mostly highlighted as a problematic area in a lot of EU level documents.
So, Judith, I'm sorry to interrupt you, but for some reason we are still seeing the first slide.
Really? I'm on the third slide.
Okay.
Then I'm sorry about that, because I see my slides correctly. I will try to just show you them. Thank you for. Can you see it now?
Yes, we can.
Okay, so that was the context slide. That was the second slide on the red flags, and then I moved to the slide that I was talking about. I hope that you can see it now correctly. So that's great, because that's the main point from this slide. So. As I already told, this new platform is called Tender Champions, and this new platform made us possible to analyze the performance of companies that have won public procurement contracts, and also the concentration regarding final owners and their interconnection with state and local government institutions. That means that in this platform, we analyzed not only public procurement data, but we tried to link several data sources. So besides public procurement data, we also involved data on companies, including beneficial ownership data, so the data on who owns the companies which win these public procurement contracts. And we also created a unique list of people who have PEP positions in our country, so politically exposed persons. And we also use the fourth source of data, which has press references on the persons who are the owners of these companies which win public procurements. This press database is created also by another NGO, which lists for each occasion when there is an article on publicly spent money, the article in that database, so we can have a whole list of the press references of articles, mainly investigative articles, of wrongly spent money. And this is how we had a huge database of more than 2,500 companies that we analyzed, more than 5,500 owners who were behind these companies which won the selected public procurement tenders, and more than 30,000 lots, so parts of public procurement, were analyzed. And the total value of this was 12.7 billion forints. So that's a lot of money. And we mainly analyzed data for companies whose main source of revenue come from public procurement. So we compared the revenue of the companies to the total value of lots won during the public procurement. This new platform was launched last year in May, and we updated it in November 2023. We also plan to update it at the beginning of next year, but I can't present you this new data, only the old one, as we are still working on the updates. The link of the website is available at the bottom of this slide. It is only in Hungarian, so I want...
Sorry, Judith. Sorry to interrupt you again. Yeah, okay. So now we are seeing slides number 5, but until before we were stuck at slide number 2.
Really?
So
Okay.
Yes, yeah.
That's
I
not
don't
good.
know for I don't know for
Okay,
what reason.
sorry about that, because
Oh
I
no,
can
it's
see.
okay. No,
Then I will show you like this if it's not, if it's good for you.
sure. Yes.
Okay, so the platform is divided on 2 topics. The first topics include data on the different companies winning public procurement tenders, so the bidder companies. And the second part of the platform focuses on the beneficial owners, so the natural persons who are the owners of these bidding companies. And the whole platform is very interactive. It's only in Hungarian, so I think it's not necessary to show you, but you can find it on the website that was shown on the last slide. So it's very, very interactive. Anyone can search on the companies and the different names that are included in the database. And also there is a search option or filter option based on the different CPV codes, so the objects of public procurement and the contracting authorities as well. And when you have the search data, it is also possible to export it. So it might be a useful tool for journalists as well. And this website also uses red flags to show the risky parts of these public procurements. These red flags draw attention to the outlier value of different indicators. And they show risk, but they do not in themselves prove abuse. On the 2 parts of the platform, we use different red flags. We use 4 red flags related to companies to show the concentration. So we flag the public procurement rates related to the net revenue, the profit margin, which was above a certain percent, and also the total value of tenders above a certain value, and the most valuable tenders as well. And on the part concerning beneficial owners, we used 3 different red flags. The first one also showed the concentration of owners according to the value that the companies owned by the different owners won during the years that we analyzed in public procurement. We also flagged if the owner of the respective company had a position as a public official, which can lead to a possible conflict of interest situation. And as I already mentioned, we also flagged if that person was flagged at least twice in the press database, which is used to monitor spending public money. So that's the whole system, and now let's see how it worked and what it showed, what kind of results this database showed us. So what was the most interesting for journalists, and which was mostly cited in different media papers on our database, was the concentration of owners in public procurement in Hungary, as we ranked them by the total value of tenders won during the 3 years that we analyzed in this database. And the first person who came up as the winner of this tender championship was the main oligarch in Hungary, who is a very well-known person. His name is Lőrinc Mészáros, and he was only a gas fixer before the current government came into force, and till 2022, he became the richest person in Hungary. And this person won almost 9%, 8.9% of the whole public procurement market through 14 different companies, which is a very considerable share in the Hungarian public procurement market. His companies mainly are involved in construction, railway construction, and in construction of classic buildings as well. And the second person who was in the list of the database was his regular consortium partner, who won 6.6% of the Hungarian public procurement market. His name is László C. And as they win very often together different public procurement processes, it is also we can also say that they together won more than 15% of the Hungarian public procurement tenders during the 3 years that we analyzed. And the persons who follow them on that list, I want to tell you these stories because mainly they might be interesting for Hungarian public, but it is also interesting to see that these persons won their public procurement through framework agreements, which are much less transparent than other kind of public procurement tenders in Hungary, as they block the competition for a long time, usually in different areas, such as the winner on the third place. He won a lot of public procurement through framework agreements in cleaning most of the hospitals in Hungary, and the one on the fourth place, he won most of the communication tenders for central governmental bodies. So that was a clear picture on how different markets of public procurements are concentrated by unique beneficial owners of different companies. But this database also helped us to see other problematic issues related to public procurement, such as the politically exposed persons who win tenders. This red flag was particularly important for us, as the owner of the business may, through this position as a public official, gain advantage in terms of having their bids favorably evaluated in public procurements. And in Hungary, there is no comprehensive regulation at the moment on the revolving door phenomenon, which means that when someone leaves the governmental or the municipal sector, there is no cooling off period when he moves on to the private sector, and that can lead to different conflict of interest situations, which is not punished by the law, but we can still call it an issue. We used a very broad sense of publicly exposed persons in our database. We collected the names and used the names of the members of the government commissioners, state secretaries, deputy state secretaries, members of the parliament, and different heads of public interest trusts, and heads of state-owned and municipal companies, and also mayors and notaries of major towns in Hungary in that list. And this resulted on more than 100 hits, which means that among these more than 500 owners that we analyzed, 5,000 owners that we analyzed in our database, more than 120 had a public position while they won tenders in public procurement in Hungary. For example, there was a state commissioner for the development of the southern Hungary who won a tender with his company as he supervised the same territory as a commissioner, and these tenders accounted for more than 1.8 billion forints. And the other important issue that we tracked through this database was the issue of hidden owners, as in a lot of cases, investors try to conceal their identity on purpose. And there are different forms in Hungary which are regularly used to hide the identity of owners. One of them is the use of the private equity fund investment structure, where the investors of funds are not known. And this is why the beneficial owners can hide their identities behind these investment structures. And this also means that when these kinds of companies win tenders, that's contradictory to the Hungarian fundamental law, which says that national assets must be managed in accordance with the principles of transparency and public accountability. And we can say that if the owners are not known, these companies might not be considered transparent and accountable. However, in our database, almost 5% of all the public contracts analyzed were won through companies which were owned by private equity funds, which is also a considerable share if we know that the owners are not known in these cases. And just a few conclusions at the end of the presentations. So as I already told, the revolving door phenomenon is a loophole. The regulation, the missing regulation, is a loophole in the Hungarian regulation on public procurement currently, and it would be very necessary to define cooling off period and to have a stronger transparency in the public procurement. And it would be also necessary to have a comprehensive risk assessment by the authorities as well, which is not the current situation right now in Hungary. And the database that we used showed also some missing points, as well as in a lot of cases, unique identifiers such as text numbers were missing from the database, which made the analysis difficult, and more cleaning was needed in the data. And we also need more data on specific topics, such as the final value of tenders or consortium shares, and also more data, on the details of framework agreements, where the transparency is less evident than in other cases. So thank you very much.